Hey guys, Chandler here, back on my channel, Alternate Journey, and as you guys can tell from the title, today I'm going to be answering the most googled questions about being trans. Underneath I will have like a table of contents almost with the timestamps of the different questions. So if you guys want to skip to a certain question, that will be down below. And yeah, let's just jump right into it. How do I address a trans person? Honestly, just like any other person. After all, they are just another person. Just say hello, honestly. But if you're talking about like pronouns, honestly, just like if you're not exactly sure, just go up to them and ask them what their pronouns are. Don't be like all, what are you? Like that's a very weird question because it's like, what if that person's cis? Then you're just like calling them out and saying that they look like a trans person even though there is no look to being trans and stuff. Or you're gonna cause dysphoria on that individual if they do happen to be trans because you're basically insinuating like, hey, you don't pass, you're still that, say if it's like a trans guy, you're still that female and stuff like that. So it's like honestly the most appropriate and like respectable way is just to go up and ask, what are your pronouns? Honestly, it's that simple. And cis people don't even have cis pronouns either. Some people call it cis pronouns, but in reality it's just binary pronouns. Some cis people use they, them, and stuff as well. So it's not just the trans experience when it comes to pronouns. Like we don't own it, but we are the majority that use it, yes. What does being trans mean? So being trans is honestly, the simplest definition of it all is that your gender identity doesn't actually match up with the sex that you were born as. So for a trans man, they were assigned female at birth. That's why you're hearing that phrase AFAB, assigned female at birth, or AMAB, assigned male at birth. So basically what happens in the uterus when you are developing, your brain actually develops first before your actual reproductive parts does. All these chemicals are happening and everything, the creation of life and stuff, and like your brain can be wired male, like mine was, and then something just happens along the way with the chromosomes and everything like that, and my reproductive parts actually developed as female. So that's why I was AFAB, assigned female at birth. But obviously I am transitioning and you can actually change your sex. Being trans is just basically that. It's just not feeling aligned to what you were born as and stuff like that. There's a scientific part of it explaining like how it actually happens and stuff. But yeah, being trans is just basically about having dysphoria with yourself and stuff like that. It has nothing to do with what you want to do for society's sake. Like even if a trans person was on a desert island, they would want some way to ease their dysphoria as well. It's not about society at all. It's about being comfortable with themselves. So that's what it's mainly about. It has nothing to, because like a lot of people believe that has something to do with society and trying to match with society and stuff like that, but in all reality it's not. I mean, yes, there's like certain stereotypes that may be forced upon us in order to be seen as passing or seen as a real man or a real woman in any regard. But in reality, like everything that a trans person does within their transition is for themselves and no one else. What does a trans person look like? There is no uniform to being trans. If anything, I think this all started just because trans individuals and anyone, honestly, in the LGBTQ plus community just looks a little more artistic, if you will. But I think that's just only because, like, once we are fully aware and comfortable with our gender identity, and same people with like their sexuality when they're part of the community and stuff like that, it's just they're more willing to try things. So I think that's why people think like the artistic view of things and artistic style and just like dyeing hair and looking all weird according to society, that automatically labels you within the community, when in reality it's not. I think we're just more comfortable and willing to try things. Just because we've already gone through that part of our lives where we were an outcast to society just because of something that we couldn't even control ourselves. So it's like, that's why we're just like so more artistic, because we're willing to, because like we already handled that, you know what I mean? We already handled the hate on something that we couldn't change and do. So it's like we already knew that people were going to judge us, so it's like, might as well just do whatever the fuck we want. I think that's why people think that there's like a certain look, but no. There is no uniform about being trans. There is no exact step-to-step process. It's not like you come out as trans and like the LGBTQ plus community mails you a pamphlet of exactly step-by-step what you have to do. There is no pamphlet. There's nothing that you have to do and stuff like that. There's just tips that people portray and showcase in order to say like, hey, there's these options out there that may help you alleviate your dysphoria. It helped me, maybe it'll help you, but like obviously not forcing it. When do you know if you are transgender? There is no exact timeline of when you find out that you're trans. Everyone's story is different. Basically, the underlying factor of realizing you're trans is when you start doing research, like your own research, not just like little snippets that you see on Facebook or Instagram and stuff like that, or like that one trans person that you knew from high school or middle school. It really comes down to you doing your own research, fully understanding what gender identity and gender dysphoria actually means versus gender expression, and like connecting it with your life. I didn't know what being trans fully meant until I was 17. That's why I didn't come out until like I was 19, 20. That's when I finally came out to my family, and I didn't start testosterone until I was 21. I'm 23 now, but that's my timeline. Everyone's timeline is going to be different. There's even showcases of people finally coming out and coming to terms with themselves when they're 30 and not transitioning until 50. There's many different stories. It's not like an exact timeline. It's never too late. You can go on testosterone when you're 80 years old. It really comes down to like once you start connecting it. Like once I finally realized what dysphoria was, I was like connecting it to like my life, and it's like, oh, that shit back in the day when I was a kid, that was dysphoria. Like holy shit, like you start realizing like all these things that you used to do, coping mechanisms that you developed were because of dysphoria, and it's like you trying to match in with society and all this. It's like, it's so weird. It's like, but it's definitely something that's you gotta just do your research. That's how you fully come in circle with it all and everything. So it's like, honestly, like these questions are cool and everything like that. Like people are asking these questions and stuff, so they know like whether or not they have like an actual gender identity crisis or just some other type of trauma that they have to heal through and stuff. Can a trans person be heterosexual? Just because you happen to be trans, that does not mean that you're gonna be gay. There's many trans individuals that are straight. There's many that are gay. You know, it's just like any other person, because it is a person. Identity has nothing to do with your sexual orientation. If anything, the only connection with your gender identity with your sexual orientation is if, like, say you're an AFAB, assigned female at birth, and you like to engage with women. You want to have a personal relationship with women, you want to have a sexual relationship with women, but just women. So, when you were presented as female, didn't know that you were trans yet and stuff like that, you were labeling yourself as a lesbian because it was a woman dating another woman. But when you realize that you are trans and stuff like that, and you're a man, then the only reasoning that the gender ties in with the sexuality is because you're changing that label. It would be a straight relationship now because it's a man dating a woman. So yes, there are gay trans individuals, there are straight trans individuals, and there are bisexual trans individuals, like myself. There are also asexual. There's everybody. Why do trans people use hormones? So the easiest answer to this is to get masculine or feminine characteristics that their body doesn't naturally produce. Now, let me get more scientific with it. It's, yes, we all produce estrogen and testosterone, which are the two hormones that trans individuals use. So trans women, they use estrogen, whether shots, pills, patches, all stuff like that. And then trans men, they use testosterone. Same thing, shots, pill, patches, gels. We all produce testosterone and estrogen naturally. But women produce more estrogen than men, and men produce more testosterone than women. So when you are transitioning, you just want to up those levels for the masculinizing or femininizations that you want. Does being trans require surgery? No. Being trans does not require any type of surgery, whether it's bottom surgery, top surgery of any form, or any other type of plastic surgery. There's many different types where there's like feminization or masculinization of the face, the body, arms, hips, legs even. There's like so many surgeries that you could get based on what dysphoria you have, the type of money that you have, and just whatever you want to do. Honestly, it's obviously for you. Yeah, no, there is no requirization. Yes, some individuals used to gatekeep. I don't see too many gatekeepers unless I just don't try to search for it. There are probably still a lot of gatekeepers out there, honestly, but you know, I feel like there's less than what there used to be. There used to be so many gatekeepers basically because they couldn't understand the fact that everyone has different types and levels of dysphoria, which everyone's story is going to be different. Just because you don't relate to someone else's story or their trauma or how much dysphoria they have, that does not mean that they're not trans enough. There's many reasonings why certain individuals don't get surgeries, whether it's medical or financial reasonings. Yeah, there is no pamphlet, there's no designed look that you have to be in order to be trans. Just like every other person, everyone's gonna be different and stuff like that. There is no uniform to being human and stuff. So yeah, there is no requirization of surgery. I understand that it may seem a little forced, just to match within society, but in reality, you do you, honestly. Do whatever makes you feel comfortable. And last but not least, what is it like dating as a trans person? It's stressful. Now, I'm not saying, like, there's obviously people out there that's gonna date trans people and stuff like that. This isn't the whole super straight controversy thing. I already made a video about that, so not gonna turn into that with this. You either get extreme fetishization, because some people fetishize trans individuals, or you get a lot of confusion. A lot of confusion of whether or not to tell that individual that you're trans straight off the bat. When to tell them, how to tell them. It's a lot of confusion and frustration for many individuals. Some people, it made their dating life easier once they found out they were trans, because they were so much more comfortable with themselves, like easier for them to be in relationships. Like me personally, when I came out as trans and stuff like that, that was like the most sexually active I've ever been, and like most relationships I've ever been, because I was like actually finally comfortable with myself. I was coming in terms with myself and everything, and I'm bisexual and stuff like that. And so like usually when you're bisexual and trans, you engage with more people within the community, which tend to be more accepting of trans individuals. So it honestly depends about the company that you keep, the dating websites that you're on. Just be careful, especially for trans women. Especially trans women of color are just being killed for being trans. And it can be dangerous trying to date as trans and stuff. Like, it sucks reminding yourself that you're trans, but always keep it in the forefront of your mind about whether or not you think that individual would be accepting of trans individuals, because it's like, obviously if they're not going to be accepting of trans individuals, they won't be accepting of you, whether you had surgeries or not. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, even if I had all the surgeries I wanted, I completely passed as cis, even while naked and stuff, it's just, if that individual that I was engaging with didn't like trans people, I don't even think I would actually be able to be in a relationship with them in any regard, even if it was just sexual, just because of like that mindset, you know. You don't want to be with like that type of person, you know. So just always be careful. Anyways, I hope you guys like this video. If you guys have more questions that you would like me to answer, please comment that down below. Or if you guys want me to do like more of a basic generalization of trans questions, I know these were more advanced, kind of. It was more advanced than what I was thinking. Like, I was thinking of like just like there was gonna be questions of like, oh, what's gender expression? What's gender identity? What's dysphoria? It's like, it did ask that kind of, but like it was more in depth. It was like, how does it feel dating as a trans person? Like, I never thought like people were honestly thought about that. But then again, maybe the whole super straight controversy thing, that's probably why it's been Googled so much. But I like how people are getting more involved with the trans community, trying to learn more about the trans community and stuff like that without being too invasive. Like, they're just asking appropriate questions so far and stuff like that. Obviously there's people that doesn't know or realize that they're asking inappropriate questions or too invasive questions, but yeah, we learn along the way. So if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends obviously and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool that people are just asking more questions and trying to learn more, because that's all we can ask for. Look at the statistics. If you find yourself watching multiple of my videos, might as well subscribe, and don't forget to click that bell down below so you get notifications whenever I upload. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.